Welcome back to Viewpoints, listeners. I'm your host, Henry Grossek. It gives me great pleasure now to welcome to Viewpoints an amazing person, Catherine Molloy, an international speaker and communication expert specialising in leadership, sales and service, and with 25 years of experience in business, training and facilitation. And Catherine has immersed herself into the field of communication and body language, and she lives in Australia. She's one of us. She's published a book with Hachette very recently, The $1 Million Handshake, the ultimate guide to revolutionise how you connect and communicate in business and life. It's a trade paperback. Recommended retail price is $29.99 and the ebook is recommended at $14.99. Welcome firstly to Viewpoints, Catherine Molloy.
Thank you so much, Henry. I'm excited to be here with you and your viewers today.
Yes, and as I said off air, Catherine, congratulations. Your book is just, I think, one aspect of an amazing career and one that you've got a lot of achievements in. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you've come to the point at where you are now in your life and your career.
Wow, that's a big story, and I think we all have these amazing stories. I was adopted at birth. My mother was from a different country and came to Australia to have me. And I had some wonderful parents here. Growing up, we had a farm at the Dillabar on the Sunshine Coast and a house in Aspley, North Brisbane as well. So we schooled Brisbane and spent most of our days on the Sunshine Coast, any spare time that we had. And it was interesting because, about the age of 8, my poor fellow neighbourhood, I started school at 4. Mm-hmm. I was a child prodigy. No, just kidding. Just kidding back then. I was a February child, so I started at 4. And the children on a Monday and Tuesday used to come and sit on the floor of my bedroom, and I had this little felt board, which I absolutely loved, and a little flip chart. And on Sunday night, I would write the top 10 songs from Countdown. And on a Monday and Tuesday, they would all come to my room and learn these top 10 songs. And then we'd all ride our bikes until the lights came on and raced home. And I'm telling this story because it's going to lead to where I am today. Mm-hmm. I love when we find out our passion as a child, and then we discover that passion 30 years later. But it was interesting. And the other thing I used to do was my dad was always reading. He was a great learner. And I noticed in the paper people's names in the paper. And I used to say to him, Dad, how do they get their names in the paper? And he'd say to me, well, they've fundraised or they've done something, And I decided to start fundraising for the Children's Hospital around the age of 10. And my dad used to give us these puppets that we would paint and put the strings on, and then my brother and I used to create these little puppet shows, and Mum would make donuts and Dad would have lemonade, and everyone would pay 50 cents, and I'd raise until I got $50 worth of money, and then we'd send it to the Children's Hospital. And we used to put these on each quarter. So it was interesting. When I was in Brisbane recently for one of our presentations, they call me the puppeteer of body language.
Amazing.
So, it's amazing how these things from our childhood blend through into later life. Well, at the age of 16, unfortunately, I lost my mother very suddenly, and so it was almost feeling orphaned for the second time. But I had the most wonderful dad, and I had an older adopted brother, and we all pitched in and pushed through as you do in life. And I started to travel to third world countries, and I really started to study the way you communicate. You learn so much through travel, and I'm also an awesome problem solver. And I think that's because when you travel, you have to solve problems all the time, and especially when you're traveling to different cultures and different languages. By the age of 19, I was studying body language, and I was working in the bank, and I was topping sales every month for, in those days, it was the CBA bank.
Yes.
The Commercial Bank of Australia. Make a bunyip happy today, put your money in the CBA.
I remember that.
And they had these beautiful bunyips, they were green and yellow. And I was so proud to work for the Commercial Bank of Australia. And they were so big on customer service. Well, it was interesting. I was brought into one of the meetings in Brisbane, and they said, look, we're going to merge, even though the Bank of New South Wales, they were telling us it was a takeover, but it was a merger of the two banks to become Westpac. And I remember being in this board meeting, and, I was one of the only females then, and I was quite young. And I remember them saying that it sounded like a frozen food company.
Amazing, that one.
And, it's interesting because my training company is now called Ozpac.
Yes, I noticed that.
Which was Australia Pacific. And it wasn't until after that I started to laugh about the Westpac, and now I'm Ozpac. But yeah, all these little things in our life.
You'll be six-pack next.
Yeah. That won't be me.
No.
Don't drink beer, but maybe I think I'm past the ages of being totally toned. But anyway, it was interesting because around the age of 24, I was flying back from America. I'd just been over there working, doing some customer service training, and also we had a great holiday. But they opened up these laws for connection with your adopted side of your family. So I thought before I got vetoed, I'd just like to say thank you so much for having me because, well, let's face it, I quite often say perhaps I could have been in a bucket, but someone went through a lot of trouble to have me, and I had parents that loved me and brought me up. So I just wanted to find out what was my history, because every time you go to the doctors, they say to you, what's your family history? And I'm like, I don't know.
True.
So I contacted Jigsaw, and very quickly they contacted me back and said, look, your mother has stayed in contact with us, given her addresses, and, she would love to hear from you. So we were sort of quickly put together, and, I started to find out my family history because I studied accountancy and I worked in a bank. My natural father owned an accountant firm and a bank in New Zealand. They used to call me Skittles at school because they could never catch me with Red Rover. And he had played for the All Blacks.
Yes.
He was on the Children's Hospital on the board in Auckland, and I had fundraised for that. At the age of 17, my first car number plate had OBE on it, and he was awarded an OBE that same year.
That's an amazing set of coincidences there.
How did these things happen?
Yeah.
And then my natural mother, she was a teacher and she wrote children's books. And I've always had this teaching side of me. So, there are so many coincidences and things that often we don't stop to look back at.
True.
And go, wow, these are moments in our life, these curious moments that can make a big change and a shift for us. So we go through a lot of sad things in life and a lot of pain, but every time we do, that's the time that we actually grow. And it's a time that we can share and help others as well. So life's been full of, big journeys. And then I wasn't having children because I loved my career with the bank and I loved traveling. And I met my husband, and he was in finance in ATC, and he said he couldn't have children, so that was fantastic. And then we had 3 in 4 years, so that was amazing.
Yes. You can't always predict how life will turn out, can you, Catherine?
But once I was pregnant with the first one, I was very excited, and obviously God had another plan, and I was meant to be a mother.
Yes.
So we had a few more, and that was fantastic and wonderful. Unfortunately, my dad died of cancer, very painful cancer, but he was amazing the whole way through, and really once again taught me a lot about human nature and human resilience and love and care and kindness. And life went on. I looked after my children. I ran some businesses from home. We also bought a real estate and have been running that for 20 years. So I was doing sales training and a few different things there with customer service. But my husband fell ill around 42, and everything in life changed. Nothing was ever going to be the same. And we had to sell a business in the 2008-2009 recession that we didn't have.
True.
And we had properties tied to it. So this created a loss of around nearly $1 million when we had to, by the time we sold everything up, because he really felt he needed everything gone and to start afresh. So then we had no jobs, 3 children in school, a huge mortgage, which we were either going to lose a house if I couldn't do something, pull out bunny out of a hat, right? And I quickly got myself back into research, training and education, and started my own training company because I love sales, I love customer service and product knowledge. And I know that, we all need that. Interesting, though, everyone wanted the Diploma of Leadership and Management. So I started in that area as well with my company, and it was amazing that in our first year with face-to-face meetings, and of course that $1 million handshake that I learnt back when I was 20, we signed over $1 million in deals in that first year to take us through for the next 2 years. So I guess the $1 million handshake was born for me at 42, and we had been using it in our training for meet and greet and first impressions for years through the bank and through our real estate. So I really started to see that technology had changed, everything had changed since I'd been a mum and bringing up children. But you know what? People hadn't. The way we communicate, the way we connect is still the same. So I was able to use all these skills from 20 years ago and bring them into the future that has made such a difference for so many businesses that I've been privileged to work in over these last 10 years. And we took the training company international 4 years ago. And of course, people's behaviours are exactly the same worldwide. So when you take away verbal and non-verbal language, we're left with those same raw behaviour styles of people. And our basic needs are the same. So taking away political, cultural differences, we can all communicate and understand who that person is that's right in front of us.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, it's given us a very good background on how you've come to be where you are. And after the break, Catherine, we'll talk about it. And I love the front cover of your book, the blue cover with the handshake, and there are so many of them. If you can hold the line, we'll come back and talk about the book.
Wonderful. Thank you.